Thank you for your quiet attention as we get our final students and staff seated. I'd like to welcome you today, Ingomar students, because we're here today to celebrate Veterans Day. In a few moments, we are going to have distinguished guests come in with us, and they're going to come down the aisle. So I want to take just a moment to talk to you about today's event and how it's different from other events like the talent show. So this is a solemn event, and we have veterans that will be here with us. I want you to know how important it is to them that we have put this celebration together to recognize their service. So I ask that you do the terrific job that you always do by being very respectful and attentive throughout the program. Mr. Maury, we're ready to bring in the veterans. At this time, students and staff, please rise and join me in a warm welcome for the veterans that have joined us today for this program. So you're going to be after. Okay, after. Yeah, so you got to wait for a minute after this show. So right over here.
Would all please rise for the post? What? No. Oh, sorry.
Let me see if we're...
Yeah.
No,
not yet.
You're not yet. Come
Okay.
over here. Come on over here. Tori and Francis first.
We are?
Amazing. Let me see. Yeah, you're first. Just wait now. Okay, we're going to have to switch it. Kyle, you're going to do yours because they're out. Please remain standing. Stay your head.
Right now.
Yeah, let me see. So please remain standing for the presentation.
Please remain standing for the presentation of the colors.
Ingomar Middle, please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
IMS, please take your seats.
I'm going down. Are you okay?
Okay, you can go. You go first. Wait until after the section.
this year, and I try to make this kind and clear. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. 'Cause I don't need boxes wrapped in strings and designer love and empty things. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again. I need someplace simple where we could live, and something only you can give, and that's faith and trust and peace while we're alive. And the one poor child who saved this world, and there's 10 million more who probably could, if we all just stopped and said a prayer for them. So take these words and sing out loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again. I wish everyone was loved tonight, and some might stop this endless fight. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again.
Good afternoon, staff, students, and guests. Thank you for joining us for this celebration of Veterans Day. Our goal today is to thank our nation's servicemen and women for their sacrifices.
Currently, there are more than 22 million veterans who have served in the armed forces. It is quite likely you have a parent, grandparent, sibling, or neighbor who is a veteran or still serving in the armed forces.
Our hope is to show gratitude to the defense of our nation during this assembly.
Over the last couple of weeks, students in social studies classes all over the school have been writing letters to veterans. These letters show our appreciation and thanks to the veterans who have fought for our country.
Some students with exceptional letters were chosen to share their gratitude for the veterans with us today, starting with the 6th grade.
Dear veterans, thank you for the time you served. Thank you for the freedom earned. Thank you for the job well done. Thank you for the battles won. Thank you for the battles fought. Thank you for the freedom bought. You gave us the red, white, and blue. Everyone thanks you. They really do. You may not be considered a regal, but you sure are a mighty eagle. Thank you, veterans, for being my hero.
I know that whenever you had to live away from your families and go away from the ones you love, you did it because you wanted to protect them and your nation from more harm than they are already facing. And even though you have the heart of someone that will care and love, you will fight and protect all that you stand and care for.
Dear veterans, I have written this poem in honor of you. We give our thanks to all who responded to the service call, no matter young or old, fearless, determined, and bold. To the people who saved me and you, who kept thinking of red, white, and blue. Even though we don't know each and every name, we thank them all just the same.
My mom tells me about many of my relatives who served our country. They were stationed in war zones around the world. My great-grandfather fought in the trenches during World War I. My grandfather fought in the Pacific Theater during World War II. My other grandfather served in Germany during the Korean War. My cousins were Marines who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I have a cousin in the Air Force trained to be a fighter pilot. I have heard stories of living in severe circumstances, losing friends, and being away from family, but you have actually experienced it.
Dear veterans, you are showing us the greatest love, that a man or woman would lay down their life for their country. Thank you for teaching us what it means to love your brother, even if you have never met him. There are not words big enough, there is not a hug strong enough, and there's not a smile wide enough to thank you for all you've done for your country and the people in it. With respect and honor, Maggie.
Dear veteran, I just want to say thank you for protecting this country. You are a hero. You don't know how many families support you. I can't imagine what the country would be like today if you did not fight for our freedom. Your service will not go unrecognized. I believe that your payment is in all the smiles, happy families, and safe places you created. I can't imagine what you go through when you're fighting, but I know you fight for our happiness. I went to Washington, D.C. and saw the war memorials and how many people died for our country. I hope we do not have another war because, as Franklin Roosevelt once said, I have seen war, I hate war. Sincerely, Bridget.
We now honor our veterans with music. For the first time at Ingomar, the 7th and 8th grade band joins us with the IMS Voices Select Ensemble on a medley of God Bless America and America the Beautiful. This piece combines two of the most familiar patriotic tunes while featuring our band members and singers together as one ensemble. On behalf of Miss Mazza, Mr. Gazani, and the performers, we thank all veterans for their service and hope you enjoy this special musical performance.
In 1921, an American soldier, his name known but to God, was buried on a Virginia hillside overlooking the Potomac River and the city of Washington, D.C. The burial site of this unknown World War I soldier in Arlington National Cemetery symbolized dignity and reverence for America's veterans.
Similar ceremonies occurred earlier in England and France, where an unknown soldier of the Great War was buried in each nation's highest place of honor. These memorial gestures all took place on November 11th, giving universal recognition to the celebrated ending of World War I hostilities at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
The day became known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day officially received its name in America in 1926. Armistice means truth or peace. It became a national holiday 12 years later.
Sometimes I think of the country as a knight and you as the armor. You protect us, you keep us healthy, and keep us looking good. We couldn't go on without you. Only someone with true guts could do what you do every day. How can you risk your life every day? I don't know if I would ever be able to have your bravery. Because of you, I have simple freedoms like attending school, practicing my own religion, and having fun at dance class.
Dear veteran, I feel like you are my hero. Thank you so much for fighting around the world against terrorists. Our freedom in America is from your courage and bravery. Thank you so much for your service. You are my hero. Thank you so much. With love, Kendall.
Officer Jason Venturella is a retired Air Force veteran that served 12 years and earned the rank of Technical Sergeant. He served 2 tours in the Middle East. He was a Security Forces Airman that served as a SWAT team leader, combat instructor, and leadership instructor. He earned two master's degrees, a bachelor's degree, and 3 associate degrees. After he got out of the military, he spent 1 year teaching combatives and fitness classes at West Point. Eventually, he decided to get into police work, which is a childhood dream for him. He worked at the University of Pittsburgh as an officer and was finally hired here in Franklin Park. Now introducing Officer Venturella.
First off, I would just like to say thank you to all the veterans that are here. It's an honor to be your guest speaker here today. I'd also like to thank the staff and students for inviting me. Veterans Day is a special day because it highlights the sacrifices of so many. Generation of generation have fought for all of us to be free in this room. The signature of a veteran is a person that cares more about the one to the left and to the right of them than themselves. That's the greatest bond one can share in the military, and only one who has worn the uniform can understand, regardless of race, gender, or ethnicity. I stand before you today in my Raven uniform because it's one of my proudest accomplishments in the United States Air Force. And it's an interesting story how I became a Raven, because initially I wasn't interested in becoming a Raven. I thought that it was absolutely too difficult and that I just wasn't the right person for the job. And a friend of mine asked me if I would help him prepare to become a Raven. So I accepted, and we trained together for 3 months, and unfortunately, he didn't make it, and I did. And I became a United States Air Force Raven. And one thing that I would like to highlight about that experience and that I want you to take away is to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind with everything. You don't know everything, and there's always something that you can learn. Some of the greatest experiences in my life came my way because I had an open mind. I would like to talk to you about a typical day as a Raven instructor. I would wake up at 4:15 in the morning. By 5 in the morning, we would be outside in 25-degree temperatures with 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts, getting ready for a 5-mile run. Classroom instruction started at 7 a.m. and ended around 11 a.m. From 11 to 12, we would take lunch. From 12 to 5, we would be in the gym fighting, working on different techniques and physical activities. Then we had to come back from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to review videos and prepare the students for their evaluations. I would get home around 9, hang out with my wife and children for a while, get a few hours of sleep, wake up and do it all over again for approximately 3 weeks per class. So that was my typical day as a Raven instructor in the Air Force. Now granted, they gave us a little bit of time off. We'd usually have about 3 days off in between classes. So for those 5 years, I was very busy, but it was one of the greatest achievements in my life, and I'm very proud to be a Raven. I was medically retired from the Air Force in 2010. It's been a very difficult transition as I've been bouncing around from job to job. I was a fitness director for a while. I went to West Point and taught there as an instructor. And then Sandy Hook Elementary happened, and I decided that I wanted to get back into police work. So I joined the academy, had to start over yet again, and went to the University of Pittsburgh as a police officer. Worked there for 2 years, started over again here in Franklin Park as a police officer. And this is where I will stay. I'm very happy here. I love the community. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to talk to you all about those transitions. specifically to the students and everyone else who's going to go through transitions in their life. You're going to be moving on to the intermediate school, and then eventually to high school, and then college, and then your jobs. And you're going to come across new teachers, new people, and you're going to face some adversity. And how you handle that adversity defines your character, okay? You'll be faced with many things, some good, some bad. But I encourage you to stay true to who you want to be, not what someone else wants you to be. Strive to be the best version of yourself. Figure out your dreams and aspire to be your best. Set goals along the way and achieve them to keep yourself on the path to success. You're not always going to be successful. You're going to face barriers. People are going to tell you that you're no good, that you can't do it. In those moments in your life, how you respond to them, the character, will define your personality and the rest of your life. Your success will be defined by your character when facing adversity. You will become a product of your environment, so make it a positive one. Surround yourself with people that are full of life and that are happy. Avoid people that are always negative and causing problems or getting into trouble. As you progress through school and into college, you're going to see these folks. Make sure that you surround yourself with good people. Remember, keep an open mind. Stay true to who you want to be, not what others want you to be. That way, you can handle adversity, and it will define your character. You will become a product of your environment, so make it a positive one. Today is a celebration of the sacrifices our veterans have made to ensure we maintain our freedom. With that in mind, the greatest gift we can give back to our veterans is to live our lives to the fullest. If one day you become wealthy, share your wealth with others. If you're blessed with success and great fortune, use it for the betterment of the world. Make it a better place for all. Everyone must do their part to make sure the United States of America is a better place for our future generations. Thank you very much.
Dear veteran, you've known what it's like to have blood on your hands, the guilt that you have hurt or killed another human being. Nothing can erase the memories or pain that you've endured. But because of you, your country lives in a place without fear, danger, and subjection, and for that, we thank you.
I cannot begin to comprehend what our country would look like without citizens willing to risk their lives to save it. Every day, families send their loved ones to serve in the military so that America will be a better place in the years to come. Citizens of our country do not have to worry about their safety in the years to follow because you have stepped up to do what others won't. Thank you for stepping forward while others have stepped back. I appreciate your service.
Officer Kim Busick, a familiar face to many of us as she has worked in the Franklin Park Police Department for 20 years. She comes from a long line of military family members and is here to talk to us about a nonprofit she founded 8 years ago to support troops who are serving overseas for the holidays.
Good afternoon, Ingomar. Thank you all for inviting me here, and I'd like to take my first moments to thank each and every veteran who is here today. Words can't express our gratitude for everything you've done for us. I'd also like to start by thanking the students who volunteered to participate in my program this year. Those of you that have donated items, those of you that are going to bake cookies with Mrs. Senikowski's class. I'd also like to thank those of you that helped organize the collection and organize this program. It's an awesome program that you guys are putting on tonight. I'd also like to thank Ms. Sima, for organizing the cooperation with my collection this year, and for Principal Stark for allowing to participate. So what is Busix Battalion? It's basically an organization that I founded 8 years ago because I had military members serving overseas, and we sent a small group of items over there, and the next year people who participated say, hey, let's do this again, and let's do this again. It's an example how a good idea that involves a community that is very giving like yourselves grows and grows and grows. So what I'd like to do is show you some of the faces of some of the guys that we've sent to and explain a little bit about my program. So basically, the program is about taking Christmas overseas. This is a PowerPoint that I put together last year, which was our 7th year in shipping things to men and women who were over in Iraq, Afghanistan, and last year we shipped also to South Africa. So as these pictures are scrolling by, I want you to look at the faces of the people that you see on there. They are people that we've actually shipped to. They've received things from the North Hills, from us, things that have touched our hands, cookies that we've baked, and they are all very, very grateful. Oftentimes today we talk of heroes, and the younger generations think of heroes as people that they see on television, movie stars, people that are singing the latest hits, people that are advertising shoes and clothing, and you think of them as your heroes. I want you to think of heroes and what they truly mean to you. The faces that you see on the screen are heroes of honor, they're heroes of valor, and they're heroes of integrity. And without them, you wouldn't have a lot of the freedoms that you have today. People will ask me why I do this organization, and the actual reason is the faces that you see here. And I'll share with you one letter that I received in the 3rd year of our program, and it makes everything that we did and continue to do worthwhile. It came from a captain who was stationed in Afghanistan at the time, and that year we shipped to very remote locations. And when I say very remote locations, I mean they don't get anything there by car, by truck. Everything is shipped to them via helicopter. And that year it was Marines that we were taking care of. And I had a captain send me an email after they had Christmas, and he said that he didn't know me, and I didn't know anybody involved in the group. I had gotten their names from someone else that I had shipped to. And he said that they had just experienced 3 weeks prior to Christmas the loss of one of their Marines, that his group, which was only about 20 men, was very young, 19 years old, most of them, 19 to 20 years old. I know a lot of you guys have brothers and sisters or cousins that are that young, but these guys were serving overseas. They'd gotten into a scuffle and they'd lost one of their men. So the captain explained that many of the men in this group, in this unit, were losing heart, that they were finding it hard to determine why they were doing what they were doing. And then they got, helicopters came in with boxes of goodies from people that they'd never heard of, that they'd never met. And it gave them a bit of happiness in their day to know that we, in the United States, we're remembering them, and with that we will never forget them. And I could do this for the rest of my life knowing that that happened. The 2 things that they love the most are cookies and cards. So we send over as many as we can. Last year we shipped over 2,000 pounds of cookies. That's over a literal ton of homemade cookies. Some of these faces you will recognize. They were students at Ingomar Middle School. Some of you that are going to be baking cookies this year will get to have your faces on the next slide presentation that I put together. So we get donations, we have volunteers from all walks of life. And why is that important? Because everybody in our community wants to let our veterans, let our soldiers know how important they are to us. I couldn't do this all on my own. I really don't do all that much. It's the community that comes together and shows our troops that they're important. So keep in mind that small ideas can grow into big ideas. If you can take that from this, know that when we started with 50 soldiers, only 543 pounds that we shipped. In 2014, we're up to over 5,400 pounds, and last year, we shipped even more. So after 7 years only of doing this, we shipped over 95,000 cookies to our soldiers. So I did the math. I found out that there's 508 students in this school. That would be like each of you having 188 cookies to eat, okay? That's how many cookies we have shipped overseas, okay? It's something for everybody to be proud of and something that means so much to the guys overseas. So everything we do, everything you do, the letters you write, the cards you make, the things you donate, just remembering them in your thoughts, that means something to them. I wanted to leave you with these. This is the way that they think of us, should help us know that they think of us on Christmas Day too. So thank you for all you do, veterans, students, everyone, thank you for all you do.
Before we have our last performance as part of this ceremony, I'd like to take a moment and thank students and staff who shared their time and talent to make this program meaningful. Special thanks to Mrs. Sima, who led the effort, Mrs. Berg, who organized the letter writing campaign to veterans in the hospital, Mr. Pisani, Ms. Maza, Ms. Bauer for the musical performance, and Mr. Whistler and the stage crew for the sound and lighting. As we conclude with our final piece, I have a word of guidance regarding the ending of our program today. The final piece will be a solemn ceremony recognizing the prisoners of war and soldiers missing in action. It will be performed by the North Allegheny Junior ROTC cadets. When it concludes and the house lights are turned on, we ask that students and staff leave in silence. We'll not be dismissing students by grade level, as is our usual practice. This will conclude our Veterans Day program with a collective show of our appreciation to the veterans of our country. We ask that students return quietly to 10th period, pick up your books, and then you do not need to move to homeroom. You may go directly to the sidewalk for dismissal. At this time, we ask the veterans to remain in your seats until all students have left the auditorium. We thank you for joining us on this important holiday, and we have our final piece at this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the center of the stage. You may have noticed the table set before you. It is filled with symbolism. I will explain. This table is set for our prisoners of war and those missing in action, POW and MIA, from all wars. They are not with us today. Their chairs are empty, but saved for their hoped return. Let us remember their absence. The United States Air Force, honored by Cadet Rebecca Waldron. The United States Marine Corps, honored by Cadet Cameron Lind. The United States Army, honored by Cadet Kane Terrell. The United States Navy, honored by Cadet Clayton Riding. The men and women prisoners of war from every branch of America's armed forces that too often slip from the minds of its citizens. Let us remember them always. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms, so that their children would remain free. Remember, the lone candle symbolizes the frailty of a prisoner, alone, trying to stand up against his oppressors. Remember. The black ribbon on the candle reminds us of those who will not be coming back. Remember. The single rose reminds us of the loved ones and families of our comrades in arms who keep the faith and await their return. Remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate if we do not bring them home. Remember. There is salt on the plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. And remember. The glasses. Are inverted. They cannot toast with us tonight. The red, white, and blue ribbon is tied to the flower vase by a yellow ribbon, symbolic of the ones worn by thousands who awaited their return. Remember. The faded picture on the table is a reminder that they are missed by their families. Remember. As we look upon this empty table, do not remember ghosts from the past. Remember our comrades, true American heroes. Remember those whom we depended on in battle. They depend on us to bring them home. Remember our friends. They are the ones we love, who love life and freedom as we do. They will remember what we do. Please honor and remember them. As Cadet Rebecca Waldron extinguishes this candle, let us transfer its flame to our hearts and remember.